Hey, good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Charlie Collius. I am the product marketing manager for the equipment group here at AFL, and today we have a very informative Splicer presentation for you. Megha Garlapati up there in the upper right is AFL's Splicer product manager, and Craig Henderson right next to him is a senior applications engineer at AFL. And they're going to present a first look at Fujikura's new 100S Fusion Splicer and CT60 Fiber Cleaver. Before we begin today, however, I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping tips. So if you have a question at any time during the presentation today, please submit it in the questions box in the control panel on your screen. Just click the question mark icon in the upper right. Send it to us there. We'll answer them at the end of the webinar. There is also a couple of resources available to download by clicking the handouts icon. It has a little paper clip on it and it's right next to the question mark icon. You can download a couple of resources right there. And also all of the attendees, everyone here is in listen only mode to reduce the background noise during the webinar. So today's webinar is being recorded and it should last about 45 minutes. And a link with where to view the recording will be sent out in the next couple of days. So with that, I'd like to ask Craig Henderson to start today's presentation. Craig, take it away.
Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate that. Everyone has mentioned we're running a tag team operation here today. I've got my counterpart in crime, Megha, with me. He'll be looking at the questions and hopefully getting the answers that you need to understand the 100S and how this system will help you. So we'll begin the presentation. It's a quick PowerPoint. Can you pass it on to the next page for me, Megha? What we will be looking at today, I know everybody has a lot of familiarity with the 90S. This is a system that is Fujikura's flagship as far as active core alignment, profile alignment systems. The 100S is the next iteration in that series. We're very proud of the core alignment systems that we use in the industry. We feel like we're an industry leader. And some of the features that we're going to be showing you today is what we learned from this past history, which is over 40 years working with active core alignment systems, and how do we prove that in the next series of splicers. So the topic today will be the key features that are different from the 90S, and on the back side of this, we'll be touching the 90S series and some things you may not have known about it that really goes into this process of what we think is making the user experience much more at ease, with higher quality, with less fatigue throughout the day of splicing. The first thing that you will notice with this system, has a simultaneous fiber prep mechanism. You may be familiar with this particular operation because this is something that we have done with our clad alignment system, the 35S and 45S clad alignment systems. The previous series, it was such well received in the industry with lots of comments, positive comments, that we've incorporated that into the 100 series. Basically, it requires you to use a specialized stripper. If you look at this stripper, this is the SS05 stripper, and you will notice here that the bottom two grooves are actually set up to pull 250 micron primary coating down to the 125 micron cladding. So we would use this process to prep two fibers at one time and then load it into the CT50 or the CT60 Cleaver. The illustration you see is new adapter plate for the CT60. I'm going to click a real quick video. So you would strip the two fibers simultaneously. You would clean them. You'll notice the two fibers are parallel. That third pass is actually pulling the coating out so that I can load it into the adapter plate and cleave both fibers at the same time. So that's the first step of the dual prep method, is to strip and clean those fibers and cleave those fibers simultaneously. Move on to the next page. This is the third step. This particular mechanism is the set plates have pressure plates on the left and right side, and I will illustrate how we will do this. Now, in this illustration, I will point out that in order to see the fiber, I did not take cleave fibers and put them in that V groove. I actually are coated, they're yellow, so you will be able to see the fiber from A to Z as it goes into the. As you can see, very quick to load those fibers. So it's all about speed. We feel like we've made some big advantages with that, and it's, again, well received in the industry for the past couple of years with the introduction of the 35S and 45S, and we have brought it to our flagship core alignment system, 100S. This is about ergonomics, the fiber placement guide. I love this feature. This is some small clamp mechanism that you see in the head of the machine. As you notice this peak, this little pyramid shape, it will match up to your index finger and thumb when you go to load the fiber into the head of the splicer. The big advantage of this is it eliminates, everybody that's been doing splicing for 20 or 30 years, more than likely they have lower back pain, and it comes from splicing a 288 cable. Of course, that's 432 left and right side, and having to hover over the top of that machine as they go to load those fibers into the sheet clamp mechanism. And the illustration on the far right, you can see this is my arm extended arm's length away from the splicer, but I can use this location apparatus to load that fiber into the V groove. Again, the big advantage, no hovering, and also a little bit less eye fatigue as you go through the process of splicing. Love this new feature. This is a little bit of what we call loading fiber competence. With this long extension of your arm, you may not locate the fiber in the correct position. With the old style system, the 90 series and the older model Fujikura splicers, if you extended the cleave fiber in past the electrode pins, it would actually trigger an error alarm immediately. This 100S has an expanded range of motion, so if you happen to put it past the electrodes, it will draw that fiber back into the correct range. This is an illustration. As a matter of fact, the two menu sections you see here on the right-hand side are from our Splice coach, and it's kind of explaining this feature as it operates. But again, it comes back to the ergonomics. You're loading away from your eyes, so to speak. So if you happen to overshoot a little bit, it will auto-correct for that. We have what we call a onboard assistance. It's called Splice Coach. Now there is a question mark on this machine that will allow you to do various stages of splicer operations. The old system was a flash drive that you would download to your PC. You would either work from electronic copy or print off a hard copy for the operation manual. And this is basically where you're taking that table of contents. You're pressing a question mark, the table of contents will pop up, and you will locate the subject matter, such as exchanging fiber holders or putting set plates in, how to clean a fiber. All these features and capabilities that has a very long manual, over 100 pages, is condensed into this table of contents, so you can quickly find the content that you're after, and it's at the touch of the button on the monitor itself. You will see illustrations that are shown here, or possibly even a video of a process that you want to learn more about. I love this particular page. When we introduced the 90S, we made a little bit of a mistake, in my opinion, when we set up that system. As it shipped from the factory, it was set up on hyperspeed. And what we mean by that, when you close the sheet clamps, the wind protector would be closing within 0.6 seconds. And it's all about speed and efficiency. Hindsight being 2020, and what we kind of instructed our sales team today is push the customer to optimize the system for their normal work habits. Don't try to press them to do the next stage faster. Basically build the system to accommodate you, the operator, and your user preferences versus the machine trying to push you forward without any delay, so to speak. So this will allow you to customize how you handle this machine. I can tell you from a normal process for me, when the wind protector, when I load the fibers into sheet clamps, I do not like that 0.6 seconds. I prefer it to be delayed to like 1.5 seconds. If it's a new technician, they maybe want a 2-second, even a 3-second delay before that wind protector is closed, just to make sure everything is correct. Now, with the mass fusion splicer, for instance, I do not like the trigger of loading the fiber holders into the wind protector and then the wind protector close. My personal preference is to load fibers into the machine with the fiber holders, and then the trigger to start is when I close the wind protector. All this stuff is user selectable. This is just a quick front page. It's on the main menu. It's right at the bottom of the page, as you can see. Very advantageous for you to set up your system for your personal preferences. A GPS feature. So now we have a beacon on our splicer that will document the location of that machine. The first thing for this GPS is when a splice is made, it will document the coordinates of that splice. So when you make a splice in memory, you not only get the splice loss, the parameters that splice was made under, along with a date and timestamp. Now it will give you a GPS location of where that splice was actually made. So that's the first function of the GPS feature. And then the second function of this is what we call geofencing. Once you buy a machine and you have that machine at your central location where you normally work from, home position, so to speak, you can plug in those coordinates. You will make that your center location, and then you can set up a geofence in kilometers. You can set up 1 kilometer, 10 kilometers, or even 500 kilometers if you'd like to do that. So as long as that system is within that coordinates, within that range, the machine will be operational. As soon as it goes out of that geofence location, it will disable the operation. And at that point, you would have to put in a password in order to override splicing outside that geofence location. A simple operation. Active intelligence, kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit. This is something we learned with the 90S and the CT60 Cleaver. This is the ability for the machine to work together with active blade management technology, and that's really monitoring the cleave angles and the cleave shapes and the various issues that you may have with the cleaver. And it also has what we call active fusion control. So once a splice is made, during that arc, the machine will measure the warmth of that splice. Really, it's the luminosity, how much that fiber is glowing during the arc. And this is a constant feedback mechanism that you have with your system to optimize the splicer and, of course, manage your cleaver to make sure you are utilizing that cleaver blade and the operation of the cleaver, which is, we all know, is 50% of the splicing process is managing that cleaver properly. Here's a little bit about active blade management. One thing I will point out in this particular page, you'll notice here the arc counts. With the CT50, right out of the gate, you're on the low blade setting, and you would maybe get 400 or 500 cleaves, and then you would have to rotate this blade. With the CT60, those counts are going to be much, much higher based on how we've set up this CT60, and I will explain more of that in just a moment. The machine now has a USB-C plug. This USB-C plug will allow you to use an external battery or an external power source. The only requirement for that is that input source coming from that USB-C is power delivery capable, and it has 16 watts of power available to operate that system. So if you happen to get in a situation where your battery's dead and you have an external USB-C source, you can power this splicer and operate it from there. One little thing about the electrode life, as you can see, it has moved from 5,000 plus arcs on a 90S to approximately 6,000 arcs. We have a new work tray. The work tray itself is very similar to the 90S. It's a little bit different in its functionality. You'll notice here it's got a large deep well tray on the bottom, will allow you to put a little bit larger height material in there, like cleaning swabs, that type of stuff in that left-hand cavity. This right-hand side is a flip mechanism that will come up and will allow you to put in your power supply, and that will feed power to the right-hand side of your splicer. On the front side, we got a little small extension tray, of course, that'll hold your cleaning wipes and your alcohol system along with your strippers. The case itself is the standard ABS plastic. We found that this material, same as the 90S, we found this to be extremely durable and produces a durable product for you. Dimensionally, if you look at the 90S, you will notice here that the width is going to be a little bit more narrower, the 100S. The depth is approximately the same. The height, you're going to notice that the 100S is approximately 20 millimeters taller than the 90S. And one thing I'll point out, one of the reasons for that is you see this monitor. The monitor has flipped from a horizontal position to a vertical position. And of course, the CT60 Cleaver, all things being said, is just a tad bit smaller than the CT50 Cleaver. Let's talk about the CT60 Cleaver just for a second. Key features. Performance, we're real pleased to report that the CT60 Cleaver has a slightly better performance than the CT50. You can see the yellow bar chart, the curve, the bell curve is a little bit taller and tighter across the board. And we've done this by improving this little arm assembly here. These are the elastomer pads, and they're on these extension arms. It's a little bit shorter. It controls the variability a little bit. And then we'll talk a little bit about the blade here in just a second. Okay, I think we've hit a home run with the CT50 Cleaver. When you work with the CT60 Cleaver, one thing you'll point out here, we do not have a 16 blade position anymore. We've got 28 position blades, but we have removed this height adjustment knob on the front of the CT50. We have eliminated height adjustment with the CT60. In fact, operationally, if you're familiar with our legacy CT30 Cleaver, which was a very popular cleaver in its day, this one will closely match the operation of the CT60 and CT30 are basically along the same method of operation, where it uses a thumb press and you would actually cock that cleaver to stage it for cleaving. This blade height adjustment screw, I'm a big fan of removing that. One of the things I thought was problematic with the CT50, while it was a very good cleaver, the blade height adjustment screw was in the front of the cleaver, and it was very easy to move this from a low, medium, high height setting, and you could get lost real quick as far as the calibration of that cleaver based off misuse of that thumb knob to raise your blade. You'll notice on the back of the cleaver, when you look at the back of it, we have this small toggle mechanism, and based on the position of this toggle, we'll set up the cleaver with what we call hand operation, where the main anvil clamp assembly will only open up approximately 30 degrees. This will allow you to hand operate the CT60 Cleaver. And if you flip the toggle the other direction, it will open up to what more we call benchtop operation and allow that jaw to open approximately 50 degrees. So it gives you a little bit of, how do you want to use the system, and you can set it up for that particular operation. Legacy key features. This is something I kind of wanted to point out. And this goes back to that ergonomics. And I'm a big believer in this ergonomic process that we're pursuing. The main reason for this is when you start taking out steps and you're adding automation, the beauty of that is it reduces fatigue on that technician. They don't have to eyeball stuff so closely. They don't have to constantly look at very small pieces of fiber all day long, day in and day out. It also will eliminate motions and steps. And at the end of the day, we hope that this will be less fatigue, less possible injuries that we mentioned about back fatigue, carpal tunnel syndrome, some of this other stuff that you come into with just repetitive motions. So we're a big fan of these operations. This ergonomic splice protection, this is actually part of the 90S, but I wanted to briefly show this because when I go out and do training and when I retrain a lot of folks, they don't even recognize this as a capability with the 90S, but it also has been incorporated in the 100S. I wanted to point out that this splice is made, it's in the center here, and the sheet clamps have already opened up. This is the splice protector sleeve on the right-hand side. These are what we call fiber retention clamps. I kind of refer to them as feather clamps. But when I go to put the splice protector sleeve on, the old method would be to eyeball where that bare glass is and center that splice protector sleeve over that bare glass. We don't have to do that anymore. I will simply come in and I will grab this side of the fiber at this location, right on the back side of the sheet clamp, and I will pinch it with my index finger and thumb. I will hold it under tension and I will just tilt and let that splice sleeve slide down to hit my finger, and then I will drop it in the tube heater. We'll illustrate this with a small video. Again, it's about ergonomics, taking steps out, and hopefully you go home and enjoy your family a little bit more because you're less fatigued. Wanted to talk about auto arc calibration. When you use any of the auto modes, the machine will actually measure the arc power during the arc, and it's basically checking the intensity of that arc by measuring the brightness of that arc as it's being produced. And of course, if it's in the high range, you see this magenta line, obviously the arc is too hot. It will drop that arc power down. If it's in the pink area, it's obviously too cool, and it will auto calibrate as you're making splices. So this is already built into the system. And again, it just eliminates a lot of variance and gets your machine calibrated throughout your day of operation. We still strongly recommend that you do an arc calibration test in the morning. The main reason for that, if you had a major environmental change, like a cold front rolling in or a high pressure system rolling in, it can dramatically affect your arc power, and you just want to make sure you dialed in for that morning. And then once you do that, this auto arc calibration will keep it in tune for you the rest of your day's use. We also have auto fiber characterization. This is the full-blown auto mode. As you can see here, if you look at these two fibers, the fiber on the left-hand side is a single mode. On the right, it's a bend sensitive fiber. So this is a G.652. This is a G.657, probably A1. And then on the right-hand side, this particular imagery is a single mode fiber on the left and a multi-mode on the right. So if you have this situation, I always tell folks, use that auto mode right out of the box. You happen to go to a location where you can't identify what type of cable you're splicing. That first splice maybe needs to do an auto, full-blown auto mode with this fiber characterization so that you can just verify that you are in fact dealing with the fiber you're thinking you're working with. Hope that helped. And then I kind of wanted to follow up we'd love to get out in front of you with this 100S, coming out, do a live demo, possibly let you use the machine for a week to see what you think about it. We're very proud of it. We think we've made some giant leaps with the 100S and the CT60, and we certainly would like to get this in front of you and hopefully get your input on what we need to do for the next series that may roll out. So any questions? Megha, you got some questions come up for us?
Yeah, so before I go there, I would just like to remind everyone about our technical support line. We have the 1-800 number for option 3. It's a 24/7 live certified technicians. So it's not a computer or AI to answer you. You'll have a human who is a certified technician and can answer any questions post sales. They are also fluent in Spanish if we have the customers on Spanish. That said, please reach out to your local sales managers or the sales number, and we would be more than happy to get 100S in front of you to do a live demo and understand about what does 100S. That said, we did get one question here, basically asking us about the sheet clamp mechanism. So how does that pressure plate system work?
Yeah, I'll be happy. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip over to a live feed mode, and we have the splicer set up on the camera here in our studio. Let me see if we can flip this image for you. Here we go. Hold on. We apologize. We're trying to pull up the live feed so we can show you the splicer itself.
Yeah, so while that's coming up,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to remind everyone, there's a question box up in the control panel. So if you have a question about the 100S or the new CT60, any of the features, the operations, I know Craig is going to get into a little live demo here, but if you have any questions on anything he spoke about, just type that into the question box there and we'll get it answered right here. Thanks.
The camera feed here. Black Magic, yeah. Should come through here. Just to answer the question about the sheet clamp while we're trying to take care of this little technical difficulty, the pressure plates themselves are little mechanisms that are cam action clamp mechanism. So you would apply light pressure to the top of that fiber, and that would in turn close that clamp and spin that mechanism to the closed position. I will add that the pressure plate mechanism can be disenabled. You can lock those sheet clamp so it would act like a normal sheet clamp that you would have with the 90S. It also has a fairly small chamber on the side, and this is really for 250 micron or 900 micron splicing. If you happen to have like a 2 or 3 millimeter cordage that is very close to the splicer head, at that point you can rotate the pressure plate V-groove mechanism to the side and allow you to come closer in line. So as we talked about that, I will show you this pressure plate mechanism, and I'm just going to show you an illustration on the right hand side. So this is the mechanism as I push it down, but as I mentioned, this groove is really designed for 250 micron or 900 micron. If you happen to have a situation where you got 2 or 3 millimeter cordage, this slot will be too narrow. So all we really have to do is pick this up and roll it out of position, and that will allow you to use the sheet clamp without that. Now, also, we'll come in and show you I can lock that mechanism. So notice here, now that I disenabled that pressure plate mechanism, it would act like you would normally associate with the 90S. So I'll come back and flip this on. And you can see that pressure plate is working fine. And then of course I can flip it up for 900. Fingers are a little fat. And that is your normal pressure plate. So literally I would have my fiber, roll it in, and I would close that sheet clamp mechanism. You'll notice here these fiber retention clamps. I use these and I'm a big fan of them. So when I do put my splice protector sleeve on, I don't have to eyeball where the splice is in relationship to the splice sleeve. But if you don't like that feature, all you got to do is come in and turn it from green, flip this switch from green to yellow, and the fiber retention clamp mechanism is locked into the sheet clamp mechanism. The electrodes, that type of material is similar to the 90S. You notice here we got the little thumb neural knobs, and we could quickly replace these electrodes with pretty easy at that point. The closing mechanism, I can actually open and close this. You can listen to it close. A little bit quieter than the 90S that you've used in the past. I can pan out if you'd like to see. Look at the side of the machine. And as you can see, here's your power supply coming in. I've got it running off of AC at the moment. It is battery operated. That's your USB-C PD power port, data channel, that type of material. The monitor, if you wanted to see the monitor, let me change the view right quick. Show you Splice Coach. So if you had a question about the system, I would just come in. Hopefully you can see this. I'll press this question mark. And this is my table of contents. So what would you like to see? A new sheet clamp. Explain that. Maybe a splicer heater mode. Splice with sheet clamp. So if I come in here and click Splice with sheet clamp, preparation is just do a walk by of how you would prep a fiber to use strip, clean, cleave. And like I said, some of these features are actually small videos to walk you through a play-by-play. So this is a machine you literally could hand to an inexperienced operator and them come out and be somewhat successful with it. Of course, we recommend training, and AFL, we have local manufacturer reps, local sales reps that work directly for AFL that we would be more than happy to come out to your location and get you guys trained up if you buy the gear. We certainly want to be a long-term fan. As repairs, we mentioned this and we're pretty proud of this. A normal repair turnaround for a fusion splicer is approximately 3 days. You get any more questions, Megha?
Yes. So we see there is a question asking about FH70 compatibility. So the fiber holders. So let me answer that. So fiber holders for FH70 are compatible with the 100S. In fact, we only have FH70 for the 100S. So you can use it on the 100S. And for electrodes, yes, we have a new electrodes. It's CT60C. It's brand new. It's been redesigned to improve from 5,000 burns before to 6,000 burns now. And these electrodes are backward compatible to 90 also. It can be used in that way. But we do provide both the electrodes if needed.
So just to reiterate, fiber holders, the 90S fiber holders, the F870-250, the F870-900 are compatible with the 100S for sure.
Perfect. Okay. Another question here is can CT60 be used with the 90S?
Absolutely.
Yes. I would highly say more than happy to provide that way. If someone wants to use CT60, we do provide a standalone CT60 also.
So what you see in front of you is the CT60. Operationally wise, you'll notice here with the CT30, it used to have a cavity. This is optional. It's not optional. It actually comes equipped with this little external button. You can detach this and it acts just like the CT30 cleaver, or you can attach this button on top of it. I personally love this because I don't have to stick my thumb in the cavity. I can just push it to the side to cock that cleaver. So that's the cocking action. This is the cleaving action. Very simple. This is the toggle on the back of it. So you see that toggle? That will allow me to hold this way to cleave in my left hand, or I can flip it over this side to cleave in my right hand. The trash collection system, very similar to the CT50. It's just as large. And then the blade rotation is, of course, attached to a Bluetooth mechanism, or I can flip this over and show you that it does have a rotational, manual rotation of that cleaver blade. So you do not have to install batteries. You do not have to lose Bluetooth on this mechanism. To lock it, simply close it down and flip the lock switch on the back to lock it in position. Very pleased with this cleaver. I think we've hit a home run with this. I'm so happy that they kept the Bluetooth. I think that is a necessary mechanism, especially when you're dealing with mass fusion splicing. And of course, this will work with 12 and 16 fiber counts as well, just the same as the CT50.
Perfect. Okay. I did have a question here. Someone asking about the difference between 100 and 90S. Is that something you can?
So if you look at the spec sheets on the 90S versus 100S, you do not see any real improvements in quality because, again, the 90S with a G.652 standard fiber, you're looking at a .01, .02 dB splice loss. There's really no improvement in those areas. The machine works just as good as the 90S in those particular scenarios. So if you look at the spec sheet, you don't see a lot of differences. Again, I think the big thing, the big advantages, again, goes back to the ergonomics of this and literally being able to work with this machine and load a fiber arm's length away and close that sheet clamp arm length away, eliminate that hover. That's some of the big advantages that are not showing up on the spec sheet, but they definitely will show up on fatigue and daily operations.
Okay, perfect. And so for the arc calibration on the 100S, is it required to use this G652 fiber every time?
It will call out when you do an arc calibration test, or you replace electrodes and do arc stabilization. But when you do arc calibration and you're in a SM mode, it will require you use the G.652 or G.657A1. For instance, the Fujikura Ace fiber or the Corning SMS28E Ultra, both those fibers carry both monikers. So if you looked at the spec on a Corning SMS28 Ultra, it would carry the G.652 classification, and it also would carry the G.657 A1 classification. So that is correct. When you do arc calibrations, it will require you to use a specific ITU specification fiber. And the reason it does that, when you do arc calibrations with the 100S, once you have that standard established, you can go in and switch your modes and do a Corning leaf fiber, which is a G.652. You can do multi-mode fiber. And that arc calibration, since you've done it with that standard, which is pretty much pure silicon glass, it sets up the arc power profile appropriately for those other modes that you happen to change to on the fly. So it gives you those advantages when you do that. Hope that answered your question.
Okay, perfect. What's the availability of 100S? So 100S is right now available. We have been shipping out almost about a few weeks now. So place your orders to get the 100S as soon as possible.
I would also mention, if you have a budget in mind and you're trying to reduce costs, that our demo unit 90R or 90S's will be moved out, and we will have a small amount of those available to our customers if you go down that path.
Is this recorded? Yes, this will be recorded and we can actually share it with you. But someone asked a very interesting question. What is the difference between the 90S and 100S in terms of battery charging? So with the USB Type-C connector we have in here, you can actually charge in SOS situations and emergency situations where you don't have the normal charger. You can use a mobile charger or a laptop charger, which is having a USB-C at the end, which is also about 65 wattage to plug in and actually splice. So that can be an alternative option to make sure you can splice in difficult situation. That said, it is not recommended highly to use the splicer without its original charger. And for the battery, we have a separate battery charger available. So if in case you have two batteries and you want to rotate it in between, you always have a standalone battery charger to buy.
The only thing I would reference with some of these details, I would have to refer to the specification sheet for the 100S. It's on our website, aflglobal.com, under splicing equipment. You'll be able to find that, and it will give you the charging capacity and the number of arcs with heat shrink that you can expect from the 100S.
Also, you can also use a power bank. That is a very lifesaver in some situations. If you have a good wattage, it can support it. You can use a power bank for sure. I'm not sure if this will work out, but can you transfer the recipes from 90S to the 100S?
No, I would not recommend that. The electrode spacing, the plasma field, there is some, how do I say, different dimensions associated with that stuff. So it would not be a direct transfer. What I can tell you is that all the major fiber types that Fujikura has in their 90S, they have qualified those particular combinations with the 100S. So that being said, what you can do if you got a particular parameter like you have customized, you can look at where you have made the adjustment from the standard SM mode and use that as a key to make that same adjustment to the 100S. So for instance, you did a special recipe that would require a slightly elevated arc power. You could use the traditional SM auto mode and then change your power by a set amount. So you could slightly move that power up, and you more than likely would get very similar results between the 90S and the 100S.
Perfect. Awesome. People are asking, can you do a splice?
Can I do a splice?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
They want to see the dual operation mode. Basically.
So you want me to run through this, and I'll let me chip my flip here. I'm going to move over to my cleaver. Let me get the correct angle here. Let me pan back out. Okay, so I'm going to show you dual prep, dual strip. Now, the first thing I always do, if I'm coming out in the field and I'm helping somebody splice, I will ask them, can I get my hands on the Q-tip? Anything that comes in contact with that cladding, I expect to be extremely clean. But the cleaver itself, I checked it out this morning, give them a QC check. So should be good to go. So my fiber, I will come in, kind of the technique, and I'll walk you through a play-by-play. It will cause me to be a little bit slower, but it also will give you some insight on how to do dual prep and maybe make this a little bit easier for you, because it does require some practice. So the first thing that I will do is I'll get my fiber with my stripper, and I will use this jaws of that stripper. I apologize. Megha pushed my hands over. Somebody needs to yell at me when I do this. I want to drill in and zoom just a little bit more and try to walk you through this. So the stripping process, so as I get my fibers in here, notice I'm clamping the very tips of the fibers. The only reason I'm doing this is it allows me to grab with my index and finger and thumb on the backside and pull this out a little bit. And notice how those fibers stay parallel to now. So I use the two channels in the stripper to gauge my parallel setup for my dual prep, which I clean both fibers at once. I will clean them, so I just wipe them twice. This third time, I'll hold the fibers and I'll let my index finger and thumb slide. And now I've got my fibers extended. Go into my cleaver, drop them into the adapter plate. I'm going to turn it up a little bit so you can see it. Cleave both fibers at one time, roll them out, and I'm going to page back over to press 2, I believe.
Let's zoom out a little so that they can actually see the hand operations.
So I'll come in. Now I'm going to do this on purpose. I'm actually going to take one of the fibers and I'm going to extend it past the electrode pin.
It is not focusing. Hold on.
You go to 3. I apologize, guys. It was so fast. So I have the pause turned on. I'm going to reset it one more time and kind of show you this action and show you pulling it back. Now see that fiber come across the monitor? So I'm just going to press set. I intentionally set the fiber past the electrode to show you this new extended fiber feature. See it pull it back, and now it's going to set the proper gap and make the splice. Notice it's on full-blown auto. Pause it on. I'm going to press set again. Normal operation, daily activities, I don't have my pause turned on. I'm kind of working in the SM auto mode and making the splice as quick as possible. I think I hear a faint golf clap on the other end of my mic. So thank you all for that successful splice. Okay, I hope that demonstration of dual prep was rewarding for you. Certainly was for me. Takes a little practice though. Any more questions?
I don't think so. Oh, hold on. I don't think so. We should be.
So if you can pull up again, please dial the 1-800 number, reach out to your local sales rep, and we certainly want to be your supplier. Our customers are very important to us. We take this very seriously, and we think we can help you have an enjoyable, high quality day.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining us. And this is recorded, so everyone will get the presentation mailed to you guys. And again, if you have any questions, please feel to reach us out. And thanks for your time. Bye.
Safe travels.